Hey, this is Psylacus, and today I wanted to talk to you about sound cards. Sound cards are kind of like this nebulous thing that not everybody really understands, and even people who purchase them, I don't think have any idea what they're doing. Obviously, there are plenty of people out there, such as myself, that know exactly what's going on, but there are definitely enough forums and threads out there with people who are confused. So, what better thing to do than to talk about it, since I've just done a ton of new sound cards from Creative. So, the sound card is a feature set inside of your computer that is obviously built in. So some people don't see the whole point of buying a sound card. What does a sound card do? Well, first, it obviously can encode sound for you, specialized like THX and Dolby. So the actual sound card maker actually purchases the license to be able to decode those, and without them you just can't do it. So most onboard sound can't do it. So second thing it does is it offloads a lot of the sound work that your processor would normally handle. Instead it's done by your sound card. It helps raise your frames up a little bit. It has dedicated software, usually to help you game, so hearing footsteps better, being able to pick out precise sounds, better sound quality, phase filtering, and analog. So basically it makes your sound better because it has been filtered and it's separate from all the noise that's basically created by your motherboard. And then finally, obviously, connections. You have way more connections generally on some of the high-end sound cards than you would on the back of your motherboard. Up until recently, you didn't have optical, but now it's on your motherboard. So, anyway, where to spend your money. So one thing you need to understand when you're buying a sound card is where to spend your money. If you're going to drop $30 on the headphones, you probably don't need a sound card. If you're going to drop $100 on a pair of headphones, then you might consider buying a sound card. If you're going to spend $500 on a pair of headphones, you better buy a sound card, otherwise you're wasting your money. The other thing people do is buy a very expensive sound card, or even any $100 plus sound card, and then you buy USB headphones. There's no point. Buying a USB headphone, the sound card is basically built into that USB device. So in other words, all the encoding happens from the headphones. So if you buy a $100, $500, whatever sound card, it's not doing anything. The only thing it allows you to do is maybe use the software. But all in all, the headphones is still the one doing most of the work, if not all of the work from your computer side. So it doesn't do you any good. Sound cards are essential for analog sound. If you're using motherboard and you have analog, that means you're running with 3.5 millimeter jacks, 1/4 inch jacks, whatever it is, you need to have a sound card because the audio that comes off your motherboard is usually very, very, especially at high volumes, it's not clean. There's so much going on in your motherboard, it interferes with the sound. So spending $30 or $40, yeah, that's it, on a sound card can do you a huge difference. Spending $100, even better. But notice you have to have the actual equipment to back it up. Buying cheap headphones and an expensive sound card doesn't do you any good. So, once again, USB, don't buy an expensive, if at all, buy a sound card. You're buying analog, buy an expensive one. Now, here's the thing, digital. Digital is an interesting experience because digital has its own uses and greatness as well as some of the weakness. Analog sound generally has its perks, especially since you can do the processing on your sound card and transfer it to whatever your output is. So all the nitty-gritties are done on that sound card. The problem is that you have to have good cables because all of that sound is being traveled through that line, not in zeros and ones like digital. Digital travels zeros and ones. So it can go over great distances and not lose any of its basically pristineness because it's all digital. It's encoded at the source. So there's no transition. However, most sound has to be transferred to an analog signal somewhere. So you're either doing it at a sound card or you're doing it at the unit. So let's take for instance the Logitech Z5500s. It has a sound card. So if you have basically a sound processor inside it, so if you transfer from digital to that Z5500. The Z5500 Logitech speaker set is doing the work. So why did you spend $250 on a ZXR? There's my point. So digital is good because it allows you to have that distance, especially if you have something that can do it for you. So for instance, transferring, if you have an HTPC, digital from your sound card to a AV unit, the AV unit has a good sound encoder, perfect. You don't have to mess with anything. It's got its own encoders, it does Dolby, it does everything, bang, right there. But if you're using it on a computer and you have analog speakers, it's a perfect reason to buy an analog. Or if you're recording, and whatever, you need to have analog. Analog has its benefits in that respect, but knowing when to use them is important. So, let's say you have a $600 pair of headphones. Buying the ZXR is great. It has lots of inputs. So knowing ZX, the ZX has no difference sound card wise. It's the same thing. The thing is, it has that little adapter that sits on your desk that allows you to connect 1/4 inch. therefore not needing you to buy adapters and all other stuff. It's convenient. The sound card has that also, is that you have great software. So knowing what you're buying, drivers. Buy something that has good drivers. Right now the Z series has great drivers for Windows 7, Windows 8. I've been using it. It's been fantastic. No problems. There's been lots of updates. They're obviously communicating. Knowing what sound card is important to buy. So remember, USB, don't bother with a sound card generally. It doesn't do you any good, other than maybe some software set. Digital, don't go balls to the walls. Look for a sound card that's going to give you the feature set you want, Dolby, all the other jazz, and then buy that. If you're going to have analog, sky's the limit. If you have an expensive headset, buy an expensive sound card. You're going to enjoy it. If you're not an audiophile and you don't buy the expensive ones. I'm surprised you spent that much money on the headphones. So analog is definitely the most expensive option. Digital is easy. However, when it comes to switching and encoding, sometimes you have to enable it and disable it because of all the rules and regulations of digital. Sometimes it's better just to do analog. I generally prefer analog. I turn it on. It works. I buy expensive cables. We're done. So remember, quality of cable matters in analog and does not matter in digital. People who sell you $80 HDMI cables are just taking you for a sucker. Just newsflash. Go on to Amazon, go on to Newegg, go on to Tiger, wherever you decide to buy it, go to eBay. But don't buy a stupid expensive HDMI. Pay attention to whether it's 1.2, 1.3, whatever. That's important. But don't be a sucker for that. It's just like buying a sound card. Buying a sound card for a cheap headphones, woo! Buying a nice expensive sound card for USB headphones, woo! Just know what you're buying. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them down below. I really love to do these things because I learn from you guys nicely, and people can teach each other nicely. There's been some people who get all antsy about it. So anyway, work together. You know, I'm learning things every day. That's the thing about tech. It changes all the time, every day. So there's always something new to talk about. Something I say today will be completely wrong tomorrow, and vice versa. So anyway, any questions, put them down below. I love to answer them and try to do my very best if they aren't already answered in the video. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe if you want to get more. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter, and I hope you've been enjoying all the stream of videos I've been having put out. Anyway, once again, Psylacus, thanks.